Okay, this generator shed has a lean-to roof, which means slopes from one side to the other, and so the siding where it meets that roof is going to need to be cut from one side to the other. So the easiest way to mark that slope is to actually put the piece of siding on the side of the shed and then trace it, or just simply cut it while it's on the shed. And to make this easier to handle, we're going to cut the sheet in half so that it is easier just to put up on the shed and trace. So to cut an 8-foot sheet in half, we're going to mark it at 4 feet. 4 feet. Take a board, straight edge, mark it, and you take the same board, stick it underneath to keep it off so you don't cut the ground. And you take your skill saw, circular saw, and make sure that the depth is set so that you don't cut down into your lower, what's underneath, and just cut away. Okay, now that that's cut, we're going to take this first piece and stand it up on the shed. Okay, so we're going to put this piece of siding on this wall, and the first thing, and then also make sure that the top is cut to that slope. If you're working alone, it's easy to, the easiest way to hold a piece of siding up while you're working with it is to put a block on, and then the siding will sit on top of that. And so we've made this block. We're using screws so we can take them back out, and we want the siding to come down just below the floorboards. And so the 3.5 is actually the same height as that. So we're going to Okay, so we're going to set the siding on the block that we just put down there, so it's the right height. We're going to flush up with the back end of the wall of the shed. And at this point, when you start putting pieces of siding on with square edges, you're going to start to notice that the shed may not be perfectly square or plumb with the world. And that's when you can move it to line it up good. So I've got it lined up there, and I'm squeezing it. I'm squeezing it with this left hand and pressing it against it, and it's flush on the back wall. And I'm going to take my pencil and mark this. If you can't coordinate all that, you could take a screw and put 2 screws on one side and one on the other, and it would hold it here for you. And now we have our mark. We're going to cut this mark, and we will also cut this so that it's the proper length here. And this mark can be put on better by measuring from the front to the back the distance. So we're going to cut those, and then we'll be ready to install this piece. Okay, we have our piece of siding cut out with the angle on the side, on the top, and the 44 inches, which is the depth of our shed. So we know that it's square. These are factory edges here and here, and so we're going to use those to kind of square up our shed when we attach this. You're going to want to use galvanized nails on the exterior of when you build your shed. They don't rust. So, what you do is you're going to nail the side that you know that is perfectly straight onto the shed and line it up with this. And then you're going to push the shed back or forth to make it plumb, and then attach the other side, which will lock it into place. Because right now it's not perfect without that. First thing you do, start at the top, line up that corner, I'm going to start on this stud. You can use a finish hammer that doesn't have the waffle head in it. It won't dent your boards. Just like that. One at the top and one at the bottom. Now that those are in, that's locked, so but this is still free, and the shed can still move. But once you line up this top and this bottom down here, and you lock it in, then the shed won't be able to move, and you'll know that it's square because your sheet was square before you started. There you have it. And then you'll go through and you can nail off, there's the framing member in between, and then across the top you put a nail every 6 inches around the edges and every 12 inches in the field, they call it. Okay, we've got our 2 ends on our shed nailed on so that and they're plumb with the world and locked down with nails. Now we're going to set this this back sheet and square it up. So we're going to start at the bottom, and we'll just hold the siding back so that we can see the edge of the siding with the edge of the 2x4 wall. We're going to put one nail here at the bottom. And that fell off, but that's okay. The most important thing is that this one is flush with the bottom and flush with the corner, and then we can adjust the top. I'm going to pull. You see how you can still pull the shed a little bit, because it can still move this way. It can't move this way anymore because these lock it, but it can still move this way. So we're going to plumb it up like that, and we're going to put a nail right here, 6 inches down. Okay, now we've got our siding on 3 sides of our shed, and we need to put the siding on the front now. And the difference with the front is that it has a door opening, and so we need to account for that. The siding pieces will be held back from the actual door opening 1 inch, so that that reveal will allow our door to be able to attach and sit flush when it closes. And so is what the siding will sit like this and be held back, like I said. So what we're going to do is measure in 1 inch all the way around the door, and then we're going to mark that so that we know that we're going to take a straight edge and mark that so that when we do install the siding that we know that that's the line that we're supposed to hit. And we'll have something to measure to. And it would help to have a longer straight edge, but this is what we have. Okay, so there's our mark, and we'll go around and we'll do the other 2 sides right there in just a minute. But now we're going to measure from here to here and cut that piece of siding and install it. And we'll do the same for here and down the side, and then we'll be ready to build our doors and set them.